Hello guys, well another week kicking off at Arsenal and it seems it's going to kick off with a big signing, a club record deal for Alexandre Lacazette in the offing. From what I'm told, he's expected at the training ground today potentially. I know some reports saying tomorrow, but I've heard he could be there today to undergo his medical, do all his pictures with the shirt, and I would expect a deal to be ratified sometime in the next 48 hours or so. Although sometimes the announcements of these things can take longer. I think the important thing is that he should be signed up before the squad depart on tour on Sunday. Whether or not he'll come on the tour, I don't know. Sometimes with new signings, they want to give them time to bed into England, to get their affairs in order, so they're ready for training when England restart at Colney. But I think given the profile of this signing, I think the fans in Australia and China would love to see Lacazette out there. So fingers crossed he does make it. I think it's important for him to bed into the squad as well. The stories about him coming in balanced out by stories about Olivier Giroud potentially departing. Interest from Everton, according to the Times this morning. And it's been interesting, some of the reaction to the Lacazette signing has seen people directly compare him to Giroud. People saying because Didier Deschamps picks Giroud for France, he's subsequently better than Lacazette. I think that's absolute nonsense. I mean, let's remember, for a start, Deschamps is also picking Giroud ahead of Kylian Mbappe. Do you believe that Giroud is a better striker than Mbappe? Would you rather have him? It's all about style. I remember Stoke at one point were fielding Peter Crouch and keeping Bojan on the bench. And I don't think that means for a minute that Bojan is an inferior footballer to Peter Crouch. It's the style that they adopted. And Deschamps, not everyone in France is a huge fan of his style. Not everyone believes Giroud should be playing week in, week out, but that's the approach he's adopted. And for the most part, it's worked for him. But stylistically, Alexandre Lacazette is a much better fit for what we need at Arsenal. And when you think about it, it is crazy. It is 5 years since Olivier Giroud joined Arsenal. And in that time, he's never really quite looked like the right centre-forward for this team. We've approached other people. Luis Suarez, obviously, a big one. But the only strikers we've brought in that period of any real profile were Welbeck and Lucas. And to be honest, both of those were kind of emergency signings. Welbeck because of an injury to Giroud, Lucas because the bid for Jamie Vardy fell through. Neither was necessarily an automatic first choice, an automatic starter. Lacazette is that. Arsene Wenger's not prone to spending that kind of money if he's not going to play someone pretty regularly. And he's a great fit. He's somebody who could bring the best out of Mesut Ozil. I said as much in a piece for Football London today. Ozil for so long has been crying out for a centre-forward who is an effective and intelligent runner and a ruthless finisher. And Lacazette, on the evidence that we have, is that if he can translate his form from Lyon to London, then we have a very efficient striker on our hands. I guess the shame is that he is an international rival of Giroud, because I think that's going to play a key role in Olivier Giroud potentially departing this summer. I would keep him. If you look at last season, the centre-forward role was effectively shared between three people. Alexis Sanchez at the start of the season, and then later Welbeck and Giroud. But given that Sanchez is either going to play deeper or potentially at another club, obviously we hope not, but he doesn't seem to be really a candidate for that centre-forward role anymore. Given that, I think Lacazette, Giroud and Welbeck probably could share that role, especially given that Lacazette and Giroud are both capable of filling in other areas too, maybe the withdrawn roles behind the striker. So I would keep Giroud on the bench. I think there aren't many games which you wouldn't want to have him there as an option. With 7 subs, you can afford 2 strikers. You can start Lacazette and have Welbeck and Giroud both on your bench and bring the right one on depending on the circumstance. You've definitely got that option. So I would like to see that. But Arsene Wenger he's loyal to his players to a fault sometimes. And I think that as loyalty for Giroud's service and the manner in which he set about last season despite not being first choice, I wonder if he will grant him his wish to go this summer to play regular football ahead of that World Cup, to make sure he can stay in that side ahead of the likes of Lacazette and Mbappe and keep in Deschamps' good books. I'll be disappointed if he goes, but if the fees that we're being talked about here, 29 million euros for a guy who is the wrong side of 30, I can understand Arsene Wenger finding that difficult to resist. I don't think there's any chance of Danny Welbeck going. I think his age, Arsene Wenger's admiration for his versatility makes him very safe. Lacazette obviously will be coming in as first choice, but I think Lucas will go, and it seems Giroud will go. And I guess it's not a question of him being an inferior player to Lacazette, just not being as good a fit. I would keep him for that. I think he gives you diversity in your attacking options. But we know the problem with Arsenal is they're sometimes not quite firm enough with their players. Nevertheless, I'm choosing to be positive about this because Arsenal, it's July the 3rd. We've signed a left-back and a striker, and both are players who can come straight into our team and make an immediate improvement. They are upgrades on our current options. They improve the first team. We don't make signings like that too often. We buy a lot of squad players. These are players who will step in and take us up a level straight away. Can't wait to see Lacazette unveiled. The clock is ticking. I'll speak to you when it goes through. Cheers.